Well, we are asking questions now that we know who the next U.S. Senator from Ohio will be. Lieutenant Governor John Husted is headed to Washington after accepting the governor's appointment to fill Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's open seat. Husted has several ties to the Miami Valley, including his political work in Montgomery County and his role on the University of Dayton's 1989 National Championship football team. Joining me here tonight is Wright State political science professor Dr. Lee Hanna. Thank you so much for being with us. Let's start with what Lieutenant Governor Husted will bring to the Senate as he makes this shift in roles.
Sure. So Lieutenant Governor Husted has served in Ohio government going all the way back to 2001. He was Speaker of the House. He represented our area, the Miami Valley, in Columbus, and he's also won statewide races as a Secretary of State and as a lieutenant governor. And one thing that DeWine said early on about this decision is he wanted to pick someone that he thought would not only serve well, but also get reelected. And so it's clear that Husted knows Ohio well and also has figured out how to win elections in the state and should be well known and well recognized when he's on the ballot in 2 years.
Yeah, there's definitely name recognition there. And Ohio now has two brand new senators in Washington. On one hand, they're still making some connections. On the other, they have those fresh ideas for what they want to accomplish. Do you think that will help or hurt more in terms of advocating for Ohioans?
Yes, it is pretty wild to have two senators with very little experience, given that Senate seats are staggered. Certainly, I think there's a learning curve to working in federal government and in Washington, D.C. At the same time, I would say it would matter more in the House of Representatives, where you're one of 435. Your committee placement really matters, and that's driven by seniority. When it comes to the Senate, yes, your committee placement still matters and seniority still matters, but they have much more space to be able to speak and represent themselves on the floor compared to the House. The other advantage they have is that both Moreno and now Husted are in the majority. And so that's always a better position to be in terms of being able to make consequential votes and being able to participate in policy that's going to likely be passed in the chamber and signed by the president.
We're also hearing a lot about Vivek Ramaswamy today, that he was being encouraged by President-elect Donald Trump to take the Senate job. We're also hearing now he's going to run for governor here in Ohio. What do you think about him? Are you surprised that Husted was chosen over him?
I was not surprised that Mike DeWine picked Husted. What I wasn't sure about is whether or not Vice President-elect Vance and President-elect Trump would push DeWine to pick more of an outsider and somebody more in line and more loyal, perhaps, to their brand. So, yeah, it was interesting, and the rumors even started this week that the Ramaswamy was moving up. I do think that he has raised his national profile and his statewide profile to where we likely will see him in the governor's race and to be a front runner in some ways for that race. But in 2 years, you don't know what's going to kind of change politically. I can think of candidates that I thought would surely rise to the top that that don't. So things could change in terms of who's up and who's down, and we'll see what happens. But certainly Husted gets a nice head start by being nominated for this.
Yeah, Inauguration Day coming up. Still a lot of moving parts here. Dr. Lee Hanna, political science professor at Wright State University. Always great to talk with you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Brooke.